So I'm doing this video because I had one of the most difficult weekends I've had in a long time. And if I struggled, I know just how important this message might be for one other person. I've been reading a lot about a condition that we're seeing now after the chronic stress called post-pandemic flux syndrome. And what it means is that it's normal to not feel normal. We've been through so much and we haven't had a clear demarcated fresh start. And as some of us, or as many of us, start to do things that we used to do, we could say go back to normal things, what was normal though, right? Such as traveling, it may not be the same. In fact, because your own threshold, mine has, it certainly showed me this weekend, it's much lower. So my tolerance for uncertainty and anything that may cause stress is so much less. So I won't go through the details, but if any of you have traveled internationally, you know that there are many hoops to jump through, and some of those hoops are very high and very narrow, and it can be easy to miss them. And so I experienced a bit of the fight or flight response, and I thought I pulled myself together. But 24 hours later, I was still struggling to breathe and take a proper breath in. And the breath gives us many things. One thing it gives us is insight into the state of our nervous system, and the breath is always in flux. So, like the pandemic flux syndrome, where things are always changing and they're unpredictable, so is your breath. So if you stay curious about your breath, you can extrapolate that, right? And perhaps be curious about other things. But what I wanted to do was to be able to breathe in deeply, even though my head said everything was okay. I had done the necessary things. I had booked another emergency rapid PCR test, and I knew that I had done everything I can to prepare for my flight this evening. But my heart, my body, my nervous system was still caught up in the survival mode of WTF. Like there's a lot attached to me getting back to South Africa, and I don't know if I want to go through that loss and despair. And so there were some techniques that I was using. One of the techniques I teach in some of my workshops is called the genius of and. And I try to do that. It's a way to build a cognitive bridge from something negative to something positive. But man, it wasn't working. I'm like, damn it. And then I had a trusted confidant that I was speaking to, and I allowed myself to catastrophize. I haven't done that in a while. That's where you verbally talk out loud the absolute worst thing that could happen. You've got to do it though with somebody that you trust, and they're not meant to fix it or respond. They're meant to hold space to witness and hear you. And in so doing that, it's almost like, well, I realized actually that the worst possible thing was not missing my flight. It was potentially all kinds of other disastrous things. And somehow by expressing that out loud, in a place that I could trust, where I had some psychological safety, so to speak, it like diffused the situation. I'm like, okay, that makes it easier. And still, I couldn't quite take a deep breath. So the next day, I decided to push my heart by pushing my body. And this technique seems to work a lot for me. And maybe you do this, or maybe you've forgotten. If you're feeling anxious and you're struggling to breathe, or you have a lot of emotion in you, motion can shift our emotion. Go do anything that will get you out of breath. So I went for a long swim. If you can, go find a hill and climb up and down it, or go for a run. Do anything that's safe for you and get your heart rate really up, so much so that you're out of breath. And what that did was help to reset my breath. It still took a while though. Last night, I found that what really helped was to lie on the floor in my living room in the dark and listen to very particular music. I've got a playlist that I call my emergency playlist, the SOS songs. So songs that deeply move me. I cry, I laugh, I have phenomenal memories around them. Do you have a playlist like that? Maybe music could be something that you could use while you're grounding and lying down, which is an act of surrender. So there's lots of different things you can be doing, right? But we don't default to what we haven't practiced. And that's why I'm doing this post, because I know a lot of the stuff is common sense. Yeah, take a deep breath, go move your body, have techniques like the genius of and, have safety networks and support where you can speak to people and do things like catastrophize and not feel like you're going to be abandoned or that you're a fool. But are you practicing these things when the stakes are low? So that when you're really in that emergency, you've got them there. They're in your muscle memory. Like I realized, actually, despite it being a really difficult 2 or 3 days, I had quite a few band-aids and remedies and things that I could reach for in my first aid kit. And what I also realized was when you're in a panic mode like I was, even I couldn't think straight. Thank goodness I have some friends that understand me when I'm falling apart. And they give me a bit of perspective and give me back my medicine. But what I have started to do that I'll publish as a blog is a list of things that can help you wind down, bring your energy down when you're so wired that you can't think straight or you can't breathe. And then the things to lift your energy. Because some of us, there were times in the week last week that I felt quite deflated and heavy, like I couldn't move, like everything was just happening in slow motion. And so I'm going to do that as a post. And in the meantime, if you're feeling like you've lost your marbles, you haven't. They're just rolling on the floor, and we're in extraordinary times, and things are fluxing and things are different. So give yourself compassion and self-care. Make space. Don't expect to approach new things or things that you're doing again now for the first time in 18 months and get the same response as you did last time. In the past, I would have easily done what I did or planned to do this weekend. Hang out with friends on Friday night, go for a PCR test Saturday, head out to a salsa social in London Saturday night, see a friend on Sunday, pack my bag and be ready to go to South Africa on Monday. After Saturday and the test not going well and realizing that I had kind of been a bit misled and it wasn't the right thing, all my other plans crumbled. And that's okay. That's what the pandemic flux syndrome is about, that things will be different and it's okay to not be okay or to feel different and to know that things will pass. There's a beautiful expression, in the depth of winter, I found in me eventually an invincible summer. So when you go through those dark nights of the soul, those difficult times that feel like a winter, they will pass. They will. And at the bare minimum, have someone or a few people that you can reach out to that know that they don't have to fix anything. They just need to create a safe place for you to be and breathe deeply. And if you can't breathe deeply, move your body until you can. And if that doesn't work, admit defeat and lie on the ground and wait for it to pass. I hope that this helps you to have a little bit extra in your first aid kit. And I'll attach a link to a blog post that I wrote about the fact that there's so much burnout and that it's okay to be feeling, maybe you are, similar things to what I have. And I'll do another post when I've done that list of how to manage your energy more effectively. I'd love to hear from you. Feel free to leave a comment about any insights, any experiences, because collectively we can help one another, right? I know I'm not alone, but sometimes it takes a lot of reminding to remember that. You're not alone. Reach out to me and anybody else that you trust, and we can and will get through this and hopefully not lose all our marbles.